World Health Organization defines palliative care as an approach that improves the quality of life of patients and their families facing the problems associated with life-threatening illness through the prevention and relief of suffering by means of early identification and impeccable assessment and treatment of pain and other problems, physical, psychosocial and spiritual. Technical advances in the care of advanced illness have created ethical challenges for physicians, patients, and families at the end of life. In the effort to survive longer, they are often confronted with difficult choices regarding medical advances that may inadvertently prolong suffering and the dying process rather than bringing healing and recovery. We have highlighted the following areas of ethical issues in palliative care that are place of death, patient care and comfort, communication, consent and confidentiality, advanced care planning, prolonging life, pain management, withdrawing or withholding treatment, and euthanasia. The following two stories would be highlighting and critically analyzing the role played by autonomy, beneficence, justice, and clinical integrity and truth telling in specific palliative care scenarios. Story 1. Rick, a 60-year-old man, was suffering with terminal stage of bowel cancer. He was provided with a single line of treatment, that is chemotherapy, for the whole year. The patient had stated a preference to die at home, but he still died at the hospital. Rick's daughter Rose is here in the court of bioethics with the hospital's representative and human rights official to discuss her father's case. She is here to find out that could there have been another scenario if things would have been handled differently.
To start with the conversation, Doctor, can you please discuss the treatment offered to the deceased and were there any other treatment options available than the treatment given?
The best treatment option available to this patient was chemotherapy, and that I have already provided it to them.
Rose, was this a collective decision made by the doctor and your family?
Yes, I agree. It was a collective decision, but we were not informed about any other treatment options that could have been availed. If we would have known that the similar treatment could be provided at home, then definitely we would have chosen that, because it was also my father's wish to be treated at home.
Doctor, why did you give preference to your paternalistic approach over the autonomous rights of the patient?
Yeah, being a doctor, I know what's right and what's wrong for the patient. It's not what patient has to decide, because they can get emotionally biased and they might end up choosing a wrong treatment option. That's why I gave this option to them.
Being a doctor, do you know the ethical perspectives of medical profession, which are respecting the autonomous rights of the patient, principles of beneficence, justice and truth-telling?
So, if you take the autonomous right of the patient into consideration, what about the duty of the doctor? My duty was to provide a beneficial treatment to them, and that I have done it.
What about the pain he suffered throughout the treatment?
Excuse me, ma'am, pain is a common side effect of the chemotherapy treatment. Just go and read any literature.
Did you inform me before commencing the treatment, doctor? Because as far as I know, according to the literature of Bucham and Walters, health professionals' primary commitment is to protect the patient from harm and to promote the patient's well-being. And this could have been done by the use of different treatment options.
Talking about ethics and literature, Davies and Elvin mentioned in the literature that enabling patients to make informed decisions encourages individuals' understanding of healthcare interventions, and this practice supports the development and use of potentially autonomy enhancing patients' decision making.
Also talking about literature, I too have one literature with me in which Daniel mentions that patient's autonomous right halts the moral obligation of the doctor to treat patient to his best knowledge. What about that?
According to Dr. Eskil, a bioethicist, just to try something out is not just bad medicine, but it is seriously unethical. And in this case, timely institution of palliative care could have prevented the pain and suffering the patient went through during his last stages of life.
In the first case, you saw that lack of communication led to weak palliative care practice. In the next case, we will discuss Jasmine, who is suffering from lung cancer and is constantly breathless and is unable to sleep for nights together. Her son and herself refuse to analgesic treatment, which can calm her down. Sam, her son, feels his mother's rights are being offended and is here to discuss why he is being forced to take the treatment which they don't want.
Mr. Sam, can you please explain the reason for refusing the treatment?
I completely understand the treatment option, but pain management leads to addiction, which is prohibited in our culture.
No, but we can give your mother a tapering dose of narcotics, which will not lead to any addiction. But not treating her will worsen the pain.
And I completely agree with the doctor's opinion because she is already in her terminal stage and the primary aim of the treatment here is to relieve her from the pain and sufferings.
Narcotics and opioids in elderly patients has been proven to cause a negative effect which can hasten their death. At present, she is watching TV, enjoying life and showing all the vital signs of life.
But that's all accompanied with the pain.
And see, we completely respect your autonomy, but according to the literature of Daniel, autonomy should not be considered as a moral obsession, but should be practiced for the moral good of the society.
Excessive use of sedatives can lead to the death of the patient, and this is euthanasia. And you're asking me to give permission for euthanasia?
No, but not treating her will be a kind of injustice which is done to her, and that's what we don't want to do to her.
And also, it's not only about euthanasia and administration of analgesics, but it is about improving the quality of life of your mother. According to NHMRC guidelines, treatment that improves a person's life may be beneficial in principle, but it may cease to be advantageous for a person for whom the dying process is being prolonged or it is burdensome for the person's quality of life.
Yeah, and also in another literature, it's stated that it is ethical to prescribe narcotics and sedative for intractable pain, even when there is a possible of terminal sedation. This possibility is called double effect, and that's what our team is trying to explain it to the family members in order to save her mother.
Studies have shown that there is lack of respect of a person's choice of place of death, and there is an enormous group of people still unaware of the knowledge of what palliative care is. End-of-life care is both a medical and an ethical challenge. Patients and their families can face several uncertainties. In the last part of life, deciding the right place of care and culturally and medically appropriate treatment along with proper communication should be the first priority. It is interesting to note that the spread of palliative care, use of analgesics, and effective prescription of terminal sedation, even in the face of double effect, have reduced the need for euthanasia, which has been stated in a recent Dutch study. In a nutshell, we would like to conclude by our following recommendations. A person requires a clear information to make autonomous decisions in palliative care. Beneficence intends best possible treatment for the individual. Health professionals should avoid any kind of discrimination. Beneficence should infer balancing of possible benefits and possible risks or harms. People's preference about where they are cared for, be it home or hospital, are sought out and implemented if this is practicable, safe, fair to others. Beneficence requires clinicians to keep up to date and current with the knowledge of medicine. Withholding or withdrawing treatment is ethically and legally acceptable if the treatment is futile. A living will or advance directive provides guidance on a person's preferences for care. The cultural and spiritual beliefs and practices of the person and their family are acknowledged and respected at all times. People or their family members should be involved in decision making about the transfer to other sites of care.